record it. Okay, we're live. Welcome, everyone. We have today entrepreneur Hugh Thomas, founder and chief experience manager of Melting Pot Travel. And Hugh and I are members of the educational platform Wealthy affiliate as well. And I'm happy to have you here with us today, Hugh. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Mel.
And I should say Hugh is from Trinidad and Tobago.
There you go.
Yeah, one place I have not been yet, but looking over your website, and that it definitely looks worth visiting. It looks intriguing. You know, very different from any of the experiences I've had in my life, and I've been to Spain and Japan and the Philippines and lived different places, and I really like that kind of like, well, my favorite color is blue. So I was kind of caught by that blue devil dance. I was kind of like.
Well, we do indeed have a number of experiences. And one of the things that Melting Pot attempts to deliver is really a number of immersive experiences that, as you well indicate, are not going to be typical in other parts of the world. One of the things about Trinidad is that it is in fact a melting pot. We just comprise of about 1.3 million odd people, spread over 2 islands, Trinidad and Tobago. So it's a unitary state, right? And we have quite an array of ethnicities that exist here, that live here. Very harmoniously. I mean, unlike other parts of the world where people seem to, get into a lot of fisticuffs about their race, but we are half Afro Trinbagonians and the other half Indian Trinbagonians, right? Of course, Africans from slavery, etc., come forward. And Indo-Trinidadians having arrived here through indentureship programs that arose after emancipation. And then we have a fairly large minority Chinese population, and also Syrian Lebanese as well, who came as traders and so on throughout the years. So we have quite an array, and then of course we're very close to Venezuela. And we've had a significant migration, particularly more recently, given all the issues and so on in Venezuela. So we have quite a significant migration of Venezuelans and so on who've come across. So all of that put together has made Trinidad and Tobago a very unique space, and married to the indigenous cultures and so on that would have existed. So we have, as you would see on the site, a number of very distinct sort of cultural heritage, religious experiences, and so on that are there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It really looked and sounds very fascinating to me. I just love the variety of experiences that we can have in the world, and every country that I visited and every country that I've lived in, they've all got their unique history and culture, and I love it. That's one reason why I love traveling. It's
one of the things that has hit us hard as has a number of the other Caribbean countries, apart from the pandemic, of course, is basically shut down travel significantly. Well, we actually have our borders closed to international traffic, and have had our borders closed pretty much for a year. It doesn't mean we have emergency and exemption type travel, which comes in and out, of course, for goods and services and things like that. But in terms of regular commercial traffic, I couldn't just go in the morning and say I want to fly off to Miami. It just is not possible at the moment. So you have a number of locals who are, in a sense, trapped offshore, who would like to return. But the thing about it, though, is that it has sort of really opened up thinking and innovation as it relates to how does one now reimagine the various events and experiences and so on, given that we can't actually have physical inbound tourists. So how do we actually repackage our content to be able now to export it to the rest of the world?
Mhm.
Right? And so there's been a lot of activity within the last few months, and I'm hoping that Melting Pot is again one of those portals via which we can do just that. So you can hopefully, sit in the Philippines and have even more of an immersive experience than just, just
Mhm.
looking at a video and so on. So I mean, the effort really is to try to create that level of connectivity so that you get as near to an in-person on-island experience that's possible until, of course, you can actually travel and come here. And I think that's really what the whole thrust is. Well, part of that, at least the thrust is to be able to really have people enjoy that level of experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you give us some background on your work or business history and where you are today?
Okay. I actually started in real estate and property development, and I've been pretty much involved with that over the last 25 odd years. And over maybe I just sort of I wanted to kind of make a shift, so to speak. And with the recession and with the pandemic, it sort of accelerated that move to really get more involved with sort of online transforming business, digital marketing, all those various things. I sort of, I was drawn to it. Let's put it that way. And I started doing my research. And affiliate marketing is just one of those areas where I really wanted to sort of get involved. So one of the things, of course, I've been very passionate about is our local culture, because I really do think that we have quite a bit to offer. I've been to several countries around the world, and I've seen what they have to offer, and I think that we can, if we put our minds to it, we can actually package it in a way which would actually be sort of best in class. It just so happens that we just take things for granted, and
Right.
a lot of what people marvel over and are wowed over, we just take as commonplace. So be it our biodiversity, I can sit in a hotel and in about 10 minutes go up the road and I would be in the middle of a pack of monkeys. You know what I mean? And if you're in Costa Rica or something, you gotta or Guyana, you gotta trek quite a ways into the interior to see those kinds of things. Yeah. So biodiversity is one thing. You would be familiar with, of course, our big events like Carnival and so on, things like that. We also have a number of sort of unique sort of heritage and food type of festivals and so on, which are a lot of fun. You get a lot of very sort of interesting fusions of different types of cuisine, just because of our melting pot type of cultural background. So a lot of things which may have an original type of sort of flavor food combination, like say for instance from India, when you bring it here and so on, you realize it's a similar thing, but it's a very different makeup, which often surprises a number of actual natives from other countries and so on. All right, so we have that, and during one of the fun facts about Trinidad is that we have like the most holidays in the world, most public holidays in the world, because we have so many. Everybody is sort of equally represented almost. So we have national holidays like Chowta Baptist Day, which is a particular religious sect, We have the usual things like Easter and Diwali, and which is Hindu based. We have Eid, which is passed, which is Muslim based. Of course, we have Christmas and things like that and so on. Yeah. So apart from the actual patriotic days like Independence Day or Republic Day and things like that, so all those days, of course, around all those days, we have different types of events and festivities and so on, which the world, of course, is welcome to participate in. So we have something called when there's a holiday on a Thursday, we normally have a long, what we call a long weekend, because people typically take the Friday off, so it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so we have a lot of that going on as well. But swinging back to Melting Pot, it was a rate, of course, a vehicle to capture these experiences, and as I said, to demonstrate what we have as an island state to offer. And then, of course, hopefully it will be able to be extended from the Southern Caribbean up to the rest of the Caribbean states.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of off-island activities, like with the ocean and sailing,
yeah.
fishing, scuba diving,
Well,
maybe?
Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago are sort of very different in a sense. Trinidad is the bigger island, and it's more sort of business, event, tourism based. Tobago is a more typical quintessential island, sun, sea, and sand type of space. So you'll get a number of sort of very nice beach and ecotourism. Like one of the oldest nature parks is in Tobago. One of the oldest brain corals is located off our shore. We have leatherback turtles and so on, which nest annually throughout. Annually every year. We do have things like scuba and all the other sailing. We have a big regatta and so on that happens annually every year. We also have a major jazz festival. The likes of a number of major acts have come down here. Whitney Houston, sadly, when she passed, Elton John. I mean, you have a number of major acts and so on, which blend with our local acts. So Tobago largely treats with those types of sort of typical kind of tourist activities, and then in Trinidad you have more of the sort of I would say more business tourists. Our Trinidad is less more rugged in terms of mountainscape, etc. and so on. So the beaches and so on are not as prolific as in Tobago, right? So Trinis go across to Tobago to sort of relax and so on. And of course, the accommodation as well across there is a lot, a lot of villas, a lot of guest houses and so on that augur very well to whatever type of person you are, whether or not you're a backpacker, a yachty. You're flying in as a retiree and you just want to take a couple of days off. You want to disappear. Tobago is very laid back in that sense. You actually physically feel when you come off the plane, you actually physically feel as though your stress levels just go way down. So it's a place I would recommend coming. Book with me.
Yeah, it does sound very relaxing with lots of things going on, with all the holidays, and that's relaxing in itself, to pull back, get away from work a bit. And how's the cost of living? How does that kind of compare, or employment levels? I mean, is it people do fairly well there?
Well, again, fortunately, Trinidad and Tobago have a very, very developed energy sector, right? Of course, the world market's a little down now, but we are a major exporter of natural gas, methanol,
Okay.
LNG, which has caused our per capita income to be like amongst the best in the Caribbean, in this hemisphere.
Mhm.
So we do fairly well in that sense. But there's been a lot of talk about trying to diversify the economy because as you know, a number of people are moving away from fossil fuels into green type of energy based solutions.
Mhm.
So we're trying to get there, but of course, moving ourselves away from such a dominant industry has taken time and is taking time. Yeah. So with the economy down now, we're trying to find those avenues, and we do have several options in terms of because of our geographic positioning where we sit, sort of on the edge of South America, and so close to the Panama Canal, etc., and so on. We can be, transshipment hub
Mhm.
for a number of states. We have so shipbuilding and ship repair, yacht repair, again too, because we are so far south, we do not experience hurricane
Mm.
types of activity, unlike places like St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Puerto Rico, Jamaica,
Right.
Cuba, all those other islands have difficulties with regards to hurricanes. Trinidad, Tobago, typically the hurricanes basically make a sharp turn and go up. So much so that you know we have a local saying called saying that says God is a Trini, because we're so fortunate in so many respects. Yeah, so we have the energy sector is a major player which accounts for a significant you know um, earning per capita. Cost of living is I think we have in terms of, like, for instance, electrical and water rates, taxes. I know what taxes are in other places and so on. We're nowhere near. We have some of the lowest water rates in the world. Just because, again, energy-based sector and so on. We have things that power our utilities and so on. So it's something where the average cost of my water bill over a 2 month period might be 40 US.
Mm.
You know, electricity bill. You know, a similar kind of figure. It's very low. Taxes, even the tax rate um, the typical sort of 25% of the higher bracket kind of thing. Um, but you would have a fairly large band of exemption, so you might get maybe, I think it's as much as 1,500 US tax exempt. So it's, and then because we live in a tropical space and so on, I mean, you always have largely an opportunity to pick a fruit off a tree. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not as though you're in north part of New York or something, and the
Right.
temperatures drop and so on, and you gotta you gotta find somewhere
Yeah.
to get warm, right? So a lot of those types of lifestyle issues and so on, we have been able to avoid, um, to largely. We're doing very well in Corona, actually, in terms of managing the pandemic, and we're actually touted actually for doing so well. But what happened is that because of the porousness of our borders, in the sense that we have a number of migrants coming in from Venezuela now, because, as I said, because of the issue, and because of the situation as it's happening in Brazil, you have a lot of people who, it's a kind of domino effect,
Mhm.
infecting people in Venezuela. You have a number of different types of strains of the disease and so on. and some are finding themselves in on land here. But we are actually under right now a curfew, a 8 to 5, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 curfew, I think, at the moment, meaning that we can't move around in the night as we wanted, because they're trying to bring a stop to the transmission of the disease at the moment. So I think that with this recent arrival of the vaccines, we probably should get ourselves back in order by August, September kind of time, I think. When everybody is sort of vaccinated. We don't have the vaccination sort of anti-vax kind of discontent and so on. I think most people seem to want to, get on with it and so on and return to some level of normalcy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the only. I live on the island of Cebu in the Philippines, and we're the only community on the island that has a 9 to 5 curfew. Everybody else is midnight to 5 a.m.
Right.
We picked the wrong community, I guess, to be out at night.
But why is that? You're a larger community, or what?
Not really. I have no idea why at all. It's just it's certainly we haven't been affected the worst. And Cebu City, which is the second largest city in the Philippines, really had a lot of problems, a lot of challenges, still do. But you have poverty is pretty rampant in the Philippines, and you get large squatter community. I call them squatter communities. You just got these little shacks, side by side. So somebody gets sick, everybody's getting sick. It's pretty hard to prevent that, and they've done their lockdowns and they've closed off sections of the city that are having problems and done other things, and I'm not going to go into it since I gotta watch what I say politically and all that good stuff.
Who's in charge? Is it Duarte? Duarte still there, or
Duterte? Yeah, Duterte is still the president for about I think 2 more years, and then they'll have somebody new come in. So
yeah, if he allows it,
will improve or change for the better or that. So it's yeah. So it's there's always room for improvement everywhere, and of course the whole world to me has gone crazy.
Yeah.
The United States isn't any. The United States has gone insane in a lot of respects, politically and how they're handling the pandemic. And so I know I'd be probably even be less happier if I was home in America.
Yeah, of course.
Especially with the politics and stuff.
Yeah.
But the one thing I see too, the internet provides so much opportunity for everyone. Yeah. Especially like, Trinidad and Tobago. Now I learned how to pronounce that right. But even the Philippines, I mean, it's, I forget what minimum wages here is, maybe no more than like $10 a day, whereas in America we have, $7, $8 an hour, $15 an hour, which isn't adequate to live on either for us because of the expense, what everything costs. Yeah. But it's like hard, and people are, working down at the Mercado, the public market, for, like about $4 a day, working 12 hours a day, every day of the week with no time off, period. And so it really wouldn't take much with the internet, where you're reaching a global audience, to be earning, to be bringing in more than enough money to provide for yourself and your families and your extended families. There's a lot of this, where the family helps the family helps the family kind of thing here because of the poverty, and a lot of Filipinos, especially before the pandemic, worked overseas. A lot of them had to come back, which only added to the poverty and economic problems, their lifeline, their money coming, gone.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And but it's so much opportunity, you know, and of course I retired 2014 September, almost seven years ago, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I stayed in the United States, because I would have needed to be making more money just to, you know, live.
Just to survive. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but I was able to come here and just working online, you know, you know, I didn't come with enough. I underestimated what I needed to survive, and then I got into all kinds of financial trouble when I got here. After I got here, because I was single when I arrived, and well, then, you know, I'm out chasing the female population, and they're more than happy to take advantage and, you know, take my money, and so a good year of learning there.
A good year.
Oh, but you know, it was, and it was worth it. I wouldn't change a thing, as anything that, you know, at the time might have seemed really negative, or maybe I got angry or upset or frustrated or whatever. Life is teaching us. Life is helping us to grow, and you know, despite how many, you know, bad exes I might have had, a lot of good memories in there as well. so I can't complain, and it took me a while to get over some of it.
Yeah.
You know, I had probably the worst ex I've ever had here, who, of course, then I was deeply in love with her. And she really
This is a local Filipino girl?
yes, took me good. Took me really,
wow.
Took me to March 2015. First week, I get paid, you know, beginning of the month.
Yeah.
End of the first week in March, you know, she pulls this really good scam on me, where I'm at the time I'm back over in Cebu City. She's on the other side of the island, and she pretends to be her mom, texting me, you know, saying how she's in the daughter needs to go to the hospital, needs medicine, and she does have asthma. That was the one true point, but she wasn't having an asthma attack.
Yeah.
And in the Philippines, I don't know how it is, you know, where you are, but if you don't have money, you're not going to see the doctor. If you don't have money, you're not even going to get into the hospital. You need to have money. You need to be paying up front, and if you're in the hospital and your bill gets bigger than what you can afford, you're not leaving that hospital. You'll become a prisoner in the hospital. Yes. Yeah. I had my one scare with that too. So anyway, so I'm like, no problem. Yeah, how much you need? Okay. And of course, then every day the situation got worse.
Of course.
Need more money.
Oh, wow.
So at the end
and you're frantic.
I'll do whatever it takes, you know. And so at the end of the first week, I had nothing left. I'd given everything, and still asking for more. For medical condition, it's getting worse. The doctors don't know what to do.
And this is all via text?
Yes, all via text. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I suggested that I go over there, and like, no, it's blah blah blah. So and then I like, well, maybe I can sell my laptop. That's what I use for my business, you know, at the time. And then she was like a little against that. So, you know, yeah, if I lose my access to doing something with my business, well, there stops any growth or anything there for me. So then finally I'm like, well, I'm going to go on Facebook. You know, at the time I had, you know, 5,000 Facebook friends, knew lots of people. And I'm going to start asking people for help, you know, loans. I'm not asking for a handout.
Yeah.
But you know, but then I thought, you know what? They may trust me, but they don't know her. So if I can provide some, something
Tangible.
that shows this is legitimate,
This,
then
yeah.
it'll be a lot easier to do.
Of course. Yeah. A picture.
Right, something. So first thing I did is I called the hospital she was supposed to be in, and
She wasn't
nothing.
there.
So there's 3 other hospitals on this side of the island. And I called all 3 of them, nothing. And then then it's like, oh, we might have a problem. And then I'm like texting, like, ma'am, and in fact, the one I might have actually, the first one I might actually called I called them probably, called the hospitals, and do you have her under a different name? What? Did you move since you went to that hospital? Did they, whatever? And then she's just like, your girlfriend wants to talk to you. Here. And then she's like, oh, I'm feeling better. We're going to be leaving this morning. And yet a few hours before, her mom said she was the worst condition ever.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, Mel.
Oh man, oh, that sucks.
So then I became the beggar. I've got no money. I don't have a penny. I don't have a peso. Use peso over here. I didn't have nothing. And I got 3 weeks till I get paid. So I had to go out and ask Filipinos for help. And of course, it's humiliating. You have your pride. You're used to taking care of yourself. I was able to borrow, I guess it'd be about $30 US, if you converted it. That was enough to eat one meal every day and have adequate water. Water is the more important thing. And sort of allowed me to survive and go on my no food, no money, no food diet. But it really impacted me for months and months.
Yeah.
And then my income started to go down, so it wasn't really sufficient. And of course, that my online income, my publishing, it goes up and down. You don't know I'm not know what I'm going to get paid from month to month. I can know what an average will be, but the average back then was way too low. And so it was really quite the challenging times. But the biggest mistake I made is I lost. I came here weighing about 270 pounds. I was big, and I got down to 185, which is more my
ideal weight.
Ideal weight. And then over the years here, I got up to probably 220, 230. And anyway, I'm back on a diet now because I had a little health scare here a week ago, and
but did you ever see her again or no?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah, I ended up in a couple of different ways. I'm not a violent person. I'm friendly as can be. I've actually I've been in fights, but not a participant in fights. I'll let people hit me if they want to hit me, and I'll maybe try to do whatever to protect myself. But you're not going to get me to go and have an exchange. Now, people are going to cool off if you don't hit back, rather than throw gasoline onto the fire. But I was filled with rage. I
can imagine.
And because and it wasn't so much to how she affected my present. I visualized our whole future, and that's my fault. Our children, my whole life is ahead of us,
Yeah.
And of course, the dream is being destroyed right there. It's just wiped out.
Right.
And so I wanted to kill her.
Yeah, I can well imagine.
And so I arranged for her to come and visit me. And of course, that was easy. Hey, I've got some more money.
Right.
Yeah. Give her what she wants. And And it was weird because I had this battle going on inside my mind. You know, you got the good guy, the bad guy.
Right,
You know,
right.
and the good guy saying, no, this is going to be disastrous. You know what? You know, the ramifications are just can't
Yeah,
even begin to
immense. Yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
So, but it took a back seat because of the rage. You know, when that your emotions are very, very powerful, of course. And it's like until that rage could be set aside or something, it was in control. It was in charge. And so I planned things out and all this wonderful stuff. I had it all figured out.
Man with a plan.
Yeah. And she came over and came in and we got talking.
She thought you forgave her, or she didn't think you figured it out.
Oh, she knew at the time. I knew. I got her to admit, you know, maybe like 4 or 5 days after she left the hospital that it was all
Okay.
Scam and stuff. And so I found out later but at the time something happened where I just cooled down. The rage left me, and I found out much later after actually moving back over to this area where she's from. It was just her voice. Her voice just had that relaxing effect to hear her talk. And that's what it was. But I always thought it was like she must have said something that, you know, whatever. But no, it was her voice. And it was after talking to her somewhere else that I realized, this is it. This is it. It's just that voice, you know, her tone of voice, how she talks. And so she got her money and got to go. And
You gave her more money?
well, I promised her when she came over that I would give. Yeah, so I gave her more. But more important than the money, she got away with her life. You know.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah, and me also. I mean, I either would have went to prison or I actually thought about suicide. I thought because what's life after something like this? You know, it's not going to be pretty or good, nothing. And so, and I was relieved that the situation diffused.
De-escalated, yeah.
And to me, eventually later I came back over here and tried to see her. She wouldn't see me. And then it's like this area is so peaceful compared to the big city. And so I ended up moving over here. And it's peaceful, it's relaxing, much closer access to the beach and the ocean than Cebu City because of all the, you know, industrialization and building.
Yeah.
And we kind of stayed in touch off and on. And she needed money for something else, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. But I'm like, well, I'm willing to listen, you know, because I am a really helping person, and I'm willing, you know, hopefully I've learned my lesson. I'm willing to listen and hear what you got. And it's like, I need this. I have to go to a hospital in Cebu City. I've got this and this and this because of this, and I really don't have the money for that, which that I could maybe kind of understand. And then I'm like, okay, and then what would it ended up being? I don't know, maybe $100 or something like that. I'm like, okay, I can do that on a couple of conditions. One, I'm going with you. And right there, I thought she'd be like, no, you know, but you know, I'm going with you. And since you're saying you need to pay the doctor, and I will pay them directly. So nothing's going in your hand. It is going to their hand. So I'm not technically giving her anything. I am spending the money. And she's like, okay. I'm like, oh wow, maybe this is real. And it ended up being, we went to the hospital and she brought a friend of hers. She had to pay for her and her friend's bus transportation there and back. And we're there, and I'm in the hospital with them. And you know, I mean, she went to see the doctor in private, but we went to Jollibee's fast food restaurant afterwards and ate, talked more, and then I left and came back by myself. So to me, that was my sweet revenge. You know, you ripped me off, but you needed something, and I still was there to help. You certainly didn't deserve anything.
Yeah.
So to me, I think hopefully that will register somewhere in her life. You know.
But you've since remarried, right?
Yeah. Pardon?
You've since remarried. you remind
And now
me.
I am, yeah. Now I'm essentially married. Yes, yeah. So, um, yeah. And that's it. And then, and part of her scam was after we had met, and I asked her mom's permission to court her daughter. I went through the whole Philippine formality. Then she got telling me, oh, her mom hates me. There's the age difference, blah 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 blah. And then I accidentally I love walking. So I was walking by their home one day and her mom was there out front sweeping stuff. And I'm like, oh. And she got talking to me. And the more she got talking to me, I'm like, where's this hostile woman that I've been told about? Because I still thought that was true.
Yeah.
And then the mom was inside they got fences and everything around the property. And I asked her mom, could I step inside? And she let me in. And I'm like, can I talk to you a bit about what? And yeah, so she kept her mom and I at a distance because of this. Her mom hates me, blah, blah, blah. And her mom, she's telling a different, so we were both giving different stories about the whole mess.
Oh. Mm.
And her mom is really the nicest person. I'm still friends with her mom, with her uncle. Yeah, so it's
Wow. Oh, wow.
yeah, so it ended up bringing me back over to this side of the island. And had I not been here, I would not have met my current wife. And I met her walking. She worked where they sold rice cakes right on the highway. And I'd walk by there every other day or something and stop, get a Coke to drink and just talk.
Yeah.
As I did with everybody. And I love walking, I love talking. And you get a lot of great experiences just from talking to people. I'm not the normal kind of tourist in a way. I'd rather immerse myself.
Right.
Immerse myself and
yeah, that's the best kind.
People and know people right where they are. Not tours are great. I have done that and will do that, but that experience, firsthand experiences, it's priceless. It's priceless. I think some of my best experiences here have been that. I sat on the wall at the seaside next to this old man fishing, just using string. He's only using string on his hand, and the fish are small, of course. But and after 3 hours, he couldn't speak English, and he handed me the string, and we got it on my fingers, and wow, I started catching fish.
Lovely.
And I loved fishing when I was young. So he taught me basically how to fish just with nothing more than a string, and you got some hooks on there and a little bit of bait, and that was just great. And of course I could thank him in his own language and that. And I had another old guy when I was walking. He was putting together a palm leaf fence around his where he farmed. And of course he's just one guy, and you get the 2 palms and you got to tie them together with a strip of palm. And so I finally, calmly, quietly, slowly went up and I grabbed the palms, held them. So it's like, okay, because I can't talk to him, and so he tied it and we finished off the fence. But I'm watching, learning, how is he doing this? How is he tying this, putting this together? And then of course we got done and he's, salamat, salamat, salamat. And I had taken a few pictures, but wow, that's priceless.
You can't beat that.
Priceless, and you learn these little skills, that maybe I'm going to need sometime. And I'm too big to climb a coconut tree, but
you can speak Filipino now, or
just a little.
Okay.
Just a little, enough for have a little bit of a conversation. I can understand, of course, more than I can speak now, but I just always been, so busy with my work that I guess that partly is an excuse. But if I really did have nothing else to do, I could. My daughter's going to learn it way faster than I learned it, and she'll be fluent in Tagalog, which is the national language, Visayan, which is the local language in these islands down here, and then of course she'll be fluent in English, and I'll just be. What did your mom say?
but in terms of tour experiences and so on, I mean, what happens there, and is it pretty much tourists coming in and they go off and see sites and so on? How a tour is delivered?
Yeah, tourists will come and go. You have a lot. I don't know if you call it a large community. There's probably a couple 100,000 Americans living in the Philippines. Cost of living really low.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially if they're retired, well, that you take that dollar and that becomes a lot of local money. And but you'll get people coming and going, and of course you get a lot of Westerners, or it seems like a lot of Westerners, looking for love as they've retired and maybe gotten divorced or whatever, and the Philippines is attractive because large English speaking population, so whereas a lot of them like Thailand, but the English is not it's very poorly spoken, so it's a real challenge to understand each other. And of course, once you're living here, you realize that even though they speak English, it's not fluent and they don't have the understanding, but it's kind of like me speaking their language. Yeah, I can kind of speak it, but I really don't know it. Now, Trinidad and Tobago, is English a prevalent language also, or?
Yeah, we speak English. There would have been sort of indigenous sort of populations which existed prior to Columbus arriving, called the Arawak and the Caribs and so on. So there would have been that, and there's, because of the Venezuelans and so on, and of course that heritage, we have patois. A lot of that has sort of died off. I mean, some communities, some Spanish sort of based communities and so on, there's still some of that. It comes out more so at Christmas time, where you have something called parang, which is a local sort of music, right? And then because of the Indo-Trinidadian population, a lot of Hindi is also spoken. But in terms of, you're not going to find, more so people would listen to Hindi music, or they would listen to Hindi Bollywood type programs, right? But you wouldn't typically find people speaking Hindi, right? That's very rare. Everybody pretty much speaks English. You have a lot more sort of Venezuela, because Venezuelans are here. You have a lot more Spanish being spoken more recently. Yeah, and I anticipate that as there's more integration of the populations and so on, with people, kids being born, I think within the next 10 years, you're gonna have a fairly decent sort of subset, just like the Chinese, of Vennis. We call them Vennis. So Vennis and so on that exist here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we and of course this was a territory of Spain up until the late 1800s, the American-Spanish War, and the Visayan language is really kind of close to the Spanish a lot. So when I can't think of a Visayan word when I'm talking, I'll just go, well, I can communicate in Spanish, but I'm not fluent because I lived in Spain for 3.5 years. So
right.
I'll pull Spanish word down and see if that helps me. And it does, and their numbers are in Spanish. The days of the week are in Spanish. So a lot of their surnames are in Spanish. So
okay,
that helps me a lot. So
so you can find a way.
So connected,
When last have you been back to the States, though?
Pardon?
When last did you go back to the States? The US?
I have not gone back to the States since I came here.
Okay.
And currently, well, I couldn't really afford it at this point, but yeah, no plans. Hoping my youngest daughter in America, hoping someday she'll come over and visit. She had talked about that, but of course now with the pandemic, nobody's going anywhere.
Yeah.
So but no, my oldest daughter last November got married, and it had to be very restricted. They had hardly anybody, was able to go, but they did it over Facebook Live. So I was able to watch my daughter get married, and that was priceless again, because yeah, I wouldn't have been able to get there.
Yeah.
And I hope my middle daughter, I have 3 adult daughters in America, and then my middle daughter's getting married next month. And so I hope maybe they do something like that,
Yeah.
so I can at least see, or at least get a recording of it so I can see
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so expensive to travel, it's just,
Yeah.
and, we may be doing better than, we've ever done since I've been here, but it's at a modest level. We rent. I don't ever have any plans of buying a home, buying a car, any of that.
Yeah. Of
I did
course.
that
Yeah.
in my first lifetime. I've had the experience. It was wonderful. My ex-wife has our house.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so I've been through all that, so we rent, and of course, everything is in her name here. I rent, everything is her name, so she don't have to ever feel any pressure if we get into some, big argument or something, like I'm gonna throw her out or something. It's like, no, I be the one getting the boot.
Yeah.
So, plus here, they have a pretty darn good public transportation system. You've got what they call jeepneys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've
No,
got
Jim.
tricycles, motorcycle.
Yeah.
They've got that.
Mopeds.
They've got
Mhm.
buses. You get to Cebu City, they got taxis. So, and you can rent, a motorcycle driver to take you wherever. You can rent a car. So it's like, well, then why have the expense? Because it's expensive wherever you are. And then being a foreigner over here, if I get in an accident, well, it's going to be more on me than not on me. So I just assume not even have to deal with those legal issues and consequences. So I walk everywhere. Just I'll take some of those things if I'm in a hurry or something, but generally I'm walking. Longest walk is 32 kilometers so far. I went across the island over the mountains to the other side to where Cebu City is, and then brought a bus back. I love walking and that loving walking and talking and getting to know people, and of course to me it was essential when I was single. It's like, good afternoon, or my own phone. Oh, you have Facebook, and get their phone number.
That's nice.
But and it makes the walking never bothers me. The heat doesn't bother me. I'm from Wisconsin, very cold in the wintertime, freezing snow, ice. So give me the heat any day of the week, I'll take it.
You take it, yeah.
I do have air conditioning in the house, because that makes it hard for me to sleep or work. But outside, the sun and the heat they're perfect, and that's actually why I shaved my head. It's starting to grow back, but I needed sun on my scalp. I've got a skin condition which was only on my scalp anymore, but it's because it wasn't getting the sun. I might get one more time down to the scalp and then get that cleared up, let it grow back. So
right. How do you find how long have you been with Wealthy Affiliate now?
How long have I been here?
But been with Wealthy Affiliate.
Oh, Wealthy Affiliate was March 2019.
Okay.
When I joined, and very, very fortunate that it really hasn't cost me anything to be a member. So that's always good. I was hosting on 4 websites on Weebly.com before coming to Wealthy Affiliate. Cost me $74 a month. So they'll go from $74 to $49. I'm in. My biggest concern was WordPress. I never used it before, and with the training that Wealthy Affiliate provides, very simple to make. For me, it was very simple to make the adjustment.
Yeah.
And then that's first month I was there through word of mouth. Ended up being my younger brother, who's still a member of Wealthy Affiliate. He joined, and of course, then I'm getting the affiliate commission. So now I'm getting money to make it less. And then after that, I actually had enough affiliates to it absolutely paid for itself. So it hasn't cost me anything.
Right.
So And free is always good. So
Have you
yeah,
been
so
able, how else have you been able to leverage it though? In
how
terms of the in terms of what you've learned and so on, have you been able to put a lot of it into practice in terms of your publishing and so on, or?
um yes and no. Um I went into the make money online niche, and so my first couple of websites had to do with that, get join affiliate programs and reviews, and I honestly don't know where my referrals came from. I've asked them and they don't even know how they exactly, got into wealthy affiliates. So that's unknown. But uh and I don't know. I just it doing reviews was just got to be kind of dry for me, kind of monotonous. I mean, you know what to do, okay, but it's like there wasn't no passion,
Yeah,
and you're not going to get me to do a lot for a long time if I'm not have some kind of,
yeah, yeah,
besides just like I can make a lot of money,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and actually since then, a few months ago, I actually deleted my first uh 3 websites that I did. I just deleted them all together and have shifted more towards YouTube. Um, but the Jaxi keyword search tool, I use that as well for YouTube. That helps, gives you ideas, as well as other things. So
Hmm.
I've got 2 e-commerce sites with WooCommerce, you know, and I do have them. And although I don't have everything listed, and maybe I'll never get everything listed, but I should. And anyway, it's one of those things. We only got so much time in life,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it doesn't take much for something to eat that up, you know.
yeah.
Um, so, but I'm back to publishing, and after a frantic, frustrating month, finally all the books I submitted and the one ebook I submitted, they've finally been accepted, and
Okay.
so I've
That's
learned some
Amazon.
lessons.
That's
It's
Amazon, or
Amazon, yeah, and they are very. I do a lot of public content books. The copyright is expired. Anyone can reprint it,
yeah,
and they're very, very particular about what they will, especially books isn't so bad, but they're still particular. But ebooks, they're extremely particular about what they will accept, what they won't accept. And sometimes you have no way of knowing until you go through the process of whether you're going to be accepted or rejected. So, and then
so, so
uh,
you so you so you go through a lot of public content and so on, and then redo those books. Is that it? Or
yeah, there's just hundreds of thousands of books online. This stuff you can go copy, paste, format. I'm done. And I think
but you have to update it though, because you're talking about stuff from like what, the 1950s or something. What's the cutoff date?
uh, where I mostly go to is anything published in the United States before 1924 is in the public domain.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I remember reading that a while ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
and half of my books are Catholic. I used to be Catholic. Would call myself a spiritual person, being now. I don't belong to any fixed religion or anything like that. But I still do the Catholic books. They're timeless. I've got books that were written 1600s that I've reprinted, and then from back then I've had to change the extremely old English into modern English so people can even read them. And the other side is like self-help, personal growth type books. And believe it or not, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was a lot of books like that. And they're still just as valid today as they were when they were written. If you've heard of the book or the movie The Secret,
Yeah.
that all comes from material way back then. They just took it, repackaged it, and made a fortune off of it. So
Okay.
yeah, so and that's fine, that's great, because there's certain truths that are going to be timeless as well, or make sense to some people anyway, and that's been my little that's just been the thing I picked up over the years. I started with buying and selling old Catholic books and that long time ago, and then by doing that, I got to see the old books that were requested, that were valuable, and where it was like you're going to pay $500 or $600 to find that book online to buy. So it's like, wow, I'm $1. I think I can make some profit on that. And then it's like, wow, if they're paying that kind of money, that means it's expensive because a lot of people are looking for it, or it'd be cheap if everybody, had access to it. What if I reprinted that old book? So it would be available to everybody at a regular retail price. And so December 2000, I published my first book, and that was done locally then. There was a publishing company very close to where I lived, and then I had to order like 100 copies. I had to pay for everything up front. I got 100 book inventory. Don't know if I'm going to get my money back on it. I spent like $2,500 for that. And actually, it's sold out fast, and that book retailed at $60.
And you bought it at what? $1?
That one actually I did pay about $600 and some for it. And then you give it to the company, and they take the book apart, page by page, scan it. So my book was destroyed. But yeah, and then it went, and it ended up being reprinted with them 4 times. So I sold 400 copies of that book. It's some at 60, and then I sold to a lot of bookstores where they got a 40% discount. They're buying it for $35, and it cost me $25. So I'm still making $10 a book to bookstores, or I was making 35 selling it to retail. So very, very profitable, but expensive to do. And then, so I did a few books with them, and several books actually. And then later, Lightning Source Inc. is where I then moved to have a lot of books done, for getting it. It could be expensive too, but it was less when the book was done. It costs you less per page to have a new one, spit out, print on demand, no inventory.
Of course.
And yeah, and so it was slow. It was just very, very slow because still it was costing me money. I had, family and everything else to take care of, and my book business back then was just a part-time thing to do at nighttime. Instead of watching TV, I played on the internet, and where can I make a few extra dollars, and so that money was my money. If I want something, I'm gonna spend it, and I don't feel guilty because the family's gotten my other money.
Yeah. And the house.
Yeah, and house. And so yeah, and then Amazon came along offering it. Well, it was Create Space, which was an Amazon company, coming along where you could do it for free. And so I got dabbling with that, and eventually Amazon took it over completely, and so somewhere before around 2012, I started doing books with Amazon because it didn't cost anything, and I got divorced in 2012. So it's like, and my first thought was, well, I can live anywhere in the world now. I'm getting divorced. I don't have to live here. And I thought the Philippines, because I've been here before. I visited before. My ex-wife is from the Philippines.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm going to move to the Philippines. I'm going to find a way to make it happen. I know I need to save up a bunch of money. I need to get some income coming. And the only thing I got going is my publishing. So for 2 years, yeah, I worked 24/7, literally. I worked as a security guard. Later, I became my own security business. And then I was, doing the books, and I even paid some people to edit books for me. And I knew before I came over here in September 2014 that I might not have enough, and I was planning to get married. I met somebody online over here, but it was like, if I don't come over then, it's not going to be till the following fall, because the winter time sucks up my money, because the divorce, I was actually still living at home after the divorce.
Really? Okay.
But I had a place in the basement, all to myself. And so we never hardly had any contact. And, but I was responsible for a lot of the bills, the utility bills. So wintertime, the heat bill is going to eat up all my extra cash.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
won't be
yeah.
able to save nothing till spring, summer again. And I said, heck with it. I'm
Gone.
going. And so I went. I don't regret it. Again, a lot of challenges. Again, the money wasn't there, and then let people take advantage of me. And anyway, um, quite an experience.
Sounds so.
Yeah, but it priceless again. Did have a 2015 just wasn't a very good year at all. Besides this ex-girlfriend, that, and right even before that happened, that might have helped with the rage too, was in February, my mom died. And she had been hospitalized late January. And it took everything to get over here, and I had my mom's blessing to come. I'm thankful I did that, She was 84 when she died.
Yeah.
Because mom was my best friend. Nobody can ever come that close to that relationship we had. And I didn't have money. I didn't have money to go back home, and I tried. I begged. I didn't go steal, but I begged and I pleaded, and I'm asking for loans again. I'm not asking for hand. Anyway, it became a very negative situation. Of a mess. It was a mess. And I finally had to go to GoFundMe and start a GoFundMe page and ask total strangers, to I got up to $1,000, and then she died. So it was, it wasn't too little, too late.
Yeah.
And it was devastating in a way, certainly. But the moment she, and I cried when I heard she died. It wasn't unexpected at that point. They had put her in hospice. So you get into hospice, you're going to die. They're not, they're not doing anything to really keep you alive. They're making you comfortable.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, but I was just like, I felt just wonderful in the sense that I knew she was free. She was free of pain, misery, whatever.
Yeah.
And she's there with me in spirit. I believe that. That's why I believe there's something. And because a week before, the day before I found out she was in the hospital, I'm out walking at night around midnight, and I had this feeling come over me, my mom. I could just feel it.
Yeah.
And then I walked and I met this couple of Filipinos, and one was extremely drunk, and she actually wanted to drown herself into the ocean. And I worked with her for about, a good hour, getting her to where she was laughing and changing her state of mind and how she's thinking about things, and had her friend, this is what you got to do in the morning when she wakes up to keep her in this different way of thinking.
Yeah.
And I was, and then I forgot about having since felt my mom. And the next morning on email or Skype, one of my daughters let me know that mom was in the, was in the hospital and having trouble. And I was like, wow, and that's happened to me before, where you get this feeling or whatever. I mean, there's nothing factual about it except that it happened, and you can draw whatever conclusion from it a person wants to. But it's been impactful on me. So
yeah.
So it was very hard, and it actually took me 6 years to cope with that. whole situation, and it gets involved as to the more the details. But it's pretty much behind me now. But it's also been a cost. There's been a a cost involved family-wise with my brothers, and so that's life.
Yeah, sounds like you've had a pretty rough road sometimes.
Because I don't like cutting. I don't like cutting ties. Don't like cutting relationships if I don't have to. All my exes here, they're free to contact me anytime. So I do chat occasionally. I don't hate them, not even the very, very bad one, because it made my life richer. It helped me to grow. It made me smarter in that kind of sense of dealing with people. Because you have good and bad, if you want to call it that, everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit gullible, a bit over trusting, and but that helped me learn from that to be more careful. Just because somebody's really nice, doesn't mean they really like you, but they may have something else.
I'm sure your wife is your biggest defender.
Yes, and and she has never, in the whole time I've known her, ever asked me for money. Just totally the opposite. When I met her, she was working, like I said, and she continued to work even after we started living together. And that she continued to work and work and work, and finally, I knew her dream was to go to college. And I'm like, do you still want to do that? My finances were better, and I'm willing to pay for you to go to college if that makes you happy. So she got to her third year, and of course, our daughter Melissa Jean enters the picture, and it's like, well, it's pretty hard to go to college, be pregnant, and everything else. So, and that was kind of rough for her getting away. She actually did a little part-time college after Melissa Jean was born, but then she realized, for her, taking care of the house, full-time mom, it's just too much to juggle, and that. And of course, she had I think her friends were the biggest draw. She made a lot of friends there, and that's always tough. And they recently graduated, and you kind of got that, dang, I could have, and of course there's always something I told her you could possibly do in the future, but what are you going to do when you graduate? You're going to work for some company at their wages, that's going to be the accomplishment, and she was IT, but even still, the income is not going to be that great. And that's where about a month ago, I was doing some more research, and I'm like, what do you think about selling used clothes? Because that's big over here.
I remember you writing about that.
Yeah. So she's like, yeah, I would like to try that. And so I went and bought, these 45 kilogram bundles of clothes, used clothes, and we got doing that, and we've got new clothes now that we can offer as well. And so, yeah, she's been doing very well. She's really, passionate about it. She had her first big day about, within the last week, and she was just,
lovely.
She never made that kind of money in a day in her life, and it's gross profit, but still the net profit was more than she ever made in a day. So
right.
Yeah, so we're doing that, and I support her fully on that, and yeah,
that's great. It's wonderful.
So anyway, I don't do a good job of watching the clock, but so how's time for you now? We kind of
I have to take. Yeah, the reason why I said I want to have it because I have to take my son. He does training with a personal coach. So he goes up to her house to do the exercise. So I gotta go and he's supposed to be there at 4. So I just have to leave in about a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Okay. None of my business. Is that physical training?
Yeah, well, it's cardio. It's largely cardio. Some of it is light weights, very light weights, and so on. Nothing too strenuous. Okay. He's really a swimmer, but because of the pools being closed and so on, right? So he's put on a little size and so on. So he's been doing a lot of cardio, and just light weights in terms of just usual things like
Yeah, no, coach is good. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever kind of coach a person, it's invaluable. You know?
Yeah. She's a good coach, you know. So we've been going there maybe like the last year maybe. So yeah, so
Good.
he's really enjoying it, you know,
Excellent.
as opposed to doing it online
Yeah,
because I don't.
okay.
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, I got to. We gotta. Yeah, that'll be something we'll have to deal with our daughter as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Although
Yeah.
I'm going to put her to work editing books, of course.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, maybe she'll get the bug. My then youngest daughter in America was 12 years old. She published her first book, and and that was a public domain where she took content from many sources from this author, combined it, made it like a daily devotional kind of book. But she never really got the bug to, none of my daughters did. So it's like, well, okay, I've got it. But now my wife she's taken an interest. She's done a lot of books edited and stuff also. So she'll be able to continue it after I go, and that be part of my legacy. And that'll help her and my young daughter survive and live better than normal, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time.
Same here, man. I'm really happy you asked me.
Yeah, we've kind of, to me, in my mind, we've kind of had a connection.
Yeah. I would agree.
Wealthy affiliate, and
I would agree.
and of course Jeff Brown and I are probably the closest on Wealthy affiliate. And then with winter and where he's got to get to his computer, it was just not good until spring got there. And Roy Solheim, we've gotten kind of close in the affiliate marketing. We both belong to a couple different other affiliate programs that
Legendary marketing.
Market was one he's big on. I've kind of backed away from that one. I have issues, and so so I brought him on and I've always kind of wanted to, like, at some point try to like build like a mastermind or a group of individuals, because that shared knowledge benefits each and every one, and everybody's got their own little skill or their own little expertise, and it helped me actually bring me back to publishing, which sometimes I take a break from it. Probably been a year or more since I have published, and then because I know I got the Amazon support to deal with, so but learn some from this, and I'm going to continue publishing and hopefully have less challenges with them, but I know they're still going to come.
Okay.
But thank you so much, and it'd be great to do this again sometime.
Same here, yeah, for sure.
Fascinating country. Maybe you can even, if you have some YouTube snippets of your country, you got the pictures and the story, and even just teasers, get that music and that rhythm and
That's the intention. That's what I'm trying to work on now. But because of the COVID thing, it's really slow. I'm supposed to get. Actually, I'm picking up a camera tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So because it was too expensive, it was getting too expensive to utilize a guy to help me.
And then, maybe I can get over there sometime. And
of course, you'd fit right in.
Without hitting the beach in the daytime, I can get into the festival.
Wonderful, Mel. All right, let me
love to have fun. Yep. Take care.
Let me run, man. But all right, it was great, and we will talk again soon, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, Mel. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.